This is Premier Gospel.
Premier Gospel. The voice of UK Gospel.
You have single-handedly, I think, brightened up all of our lives. Just with your content, with your videos, with everything that you do.
Aww.
Your voice is amazing.
Thank you.
Have we heard Ariel's music?
Yes.
Ooh. So we want to just get into your journey and talk about you and how you began this whole content thing. First and foremost, how's London been?
London, like I was saying, I didn't get to see it yet. But so far, I could speak on the people. Everybody's been super nice that I've met so far. But I got to tell y'all, I need some sunshine. I don't know what's going on.
So you need to tell the Sky people that as well, because we need sun. We do need some. I'm surprised that you said that everyone here was friendly, because London is actually one of the most unfriendly cities in the UK. So.
That is insane. Okay, well, the people I've met so far, I guess because I've been like in very specific places. Like I went to just like my friend's workshop, so they were happy to see him. So I guess it's like they were in a happy mood. They were very kind, and I mean the random people that I've met on the street so far have not been rude. But yeah,
good. That's what we like to hear.
Yes.
So of course we all follow you on social media. We love your content. How did you get into that? What made you want to start making content in the first place? Did you just one day pick up your phone and think, I'll begin? Or what was it? What was the journey?
Yeah, I feel a lot of people don't know, but like it started a while ago. So I would say in high school. Well, even before high school, I was not allowed to do social media. Like that was just like not a thing. My dad was so against social media.
I remember you saying that your parents were quite strict.
Yeah, they were strict, but like healthy strict, like Caribbean people strict. Like I don't know if you know. Like they were very like they're people that I could always speak to though. Not the strict that you can't say nothing and they don't want to. Not like that, but just very much like you ain't going to sleepovers, you ain't going to that house, you ain't listening to no secular music, like that kind of stuff. And they were pastors, so that kind of dynamic. But because social media was such like a new thing to their generation, I even heard like pastors preaching about social media like it was from the devil. Like I remember those days. Like social media was
Did you ever hear the one about it was World Wide Web is 666 and did anyone hear this? Did anyone hear this?
You did?
Yeah. I heard this and I was like, interesting. And,
I'm not surprised.
But,
for real.
yeah.
Like she said, I'm not surprised.
Man. So you grew up in a really no social media. How did you get into it if you wasn't allowed to be on it?
So let me confess. On the radio station for the world to hear. I remember I think I was about 14 and I was like, I'm just gonna make a Facebook account. And I knew like at first other people I know that's nothing, but in my house I was scared. But I was like, I need to like connect with people because I was like homeschooled for most of my life. Like I didn't like get to mingle with people outside of church, and it was mostly like adults and maybe a few like young people. So I was like, I want to go on Facebook because Facebook was the thing at the time. So I secretly made a Facebook account, and I guess that was like the beginning of my social media journey.
Oh, wow.
I feel like my dad eventually found out about it years later, but
it's great that you kept it hidden for years though.
Yeah, I don't know how, because I wasn't even slick with it. I just I don't know, maybe he wasn't on social media. So I did that, and again, I didn't really have friends, so it was kind of just there. I wasn't really using it. I posted maybe like a few pictures here and there. And then I remember it was time for college. And this is when I was kind of going through that push and pull of what I needed to do career-wise, because my whole life I was saying I was going to be a doctor, but I always wanted to be an artist. I always wanted to be a singer. But as a kid, it was always like, I want to be a singer and a dancer, but I'm going to be a doctor at the same time because a doctor is what brings money, right? Mm-hmm. And I want to make my family proud. I would have been the first doctor in my family and all that stuff. So I like focused on like getting my grades right, doing that, Then I get to about 16 years old, and then I'm like, I think I started at 15, and I'm like fighting with this thing. I'm like trying to convince myself I want to be a doctor, but deep down inside I knew I didn't.
Yeah.
So when I got into health science in college to start towards that path, I remember from like my first week in school or like my first semester, I was like, I'm not gonna like this. I was like, this is gonna be so bad. So I decided, I was like, if I'm gonna do something that I hate, I might as well find something that I love on the side just to make me happy. And that's when I started my first YouTube channel.
Wow. What
Yeah.
kind of content did you first post? Was it always comedy or was it first music? And wow.
It was never comedy. I would have never in a million years thought I would make comedic content ever. I never saw myself as funny, like ever.
Did anyone ever tell you that you were funny?
No,
So you weren't that person that people were like, wow, you're hilarious. You
No.
should do comedy. No.
never, like ever. Like, but the funny thing is, in recent conversations with some people, they would tell me. I remember like one person I worked with like years ago, and he was like, Ariel, I was like, aren't you surprised? And he was like, no. He's like, I've always seen that part of you. But he's like, I just never said it. But like, I've always seen that. You've always been kind of funny. But I guess nobody ever really said it. So I was just like, oh, interesting. But for me, it was like a really big surprise. But the content I started with, it was with my sister because I was super scared to go online. Again, I didn't tell my dad I was going on YouTube because I knew that would be a problem. But I asked her to join me, and we started making like hair content, like a little bit of makeup, hair. I saw the YouTubers on, like I wanted to be a YouTuber. I was like, I like that. So that's what I was patterning after.
I feel like hair and makeup is, if you want to start YouTube, that's what we go to immediately.
Yeah.
Even if you can't even, I tried for like one video. I cannot do hair. Why I was giving hair tips when my hair looked, I was like, guys, your hair, you meant to do this with it. And I bet everyone's watching thinking, I don't know. But okay, so you went straight into that. How did it progress into comedy? What was the first video that you made and what made you make it?
I was actually really tired of the hair videos. I did that about, let's say I started 2017 until 2019. And I was really getting sick of it. And I kept on saying like the exact words I was saying. I'm like, I feel like I have more of my personality to give. And changing my hair every week was just too much. Like I love changing my hair. But into styles that I have to do tutorials on, it was just, I was like, this is not it. I was happy to do social media. I wasn't making a lot of money or anything like that, but I just got sick of it. So I remember, and I was very lost in which direction I wanted to go. And I was like, that's a whole other story, but I'll just jump to it. I was like, I'm going to try TikTok in 2020 during the whole lockdown. And I was like, let me give it a try. I prayed about it. I did a whole series of things about it. And then I was like, let me just treat this thing seriously. And it has to succeed. And I was like, if it doesn't succeed, I give up. Like, it was literally like, I'm done. So I started on TikTok and I put myself on a strict schedule. I said, I'm going to post 3 times a day, every single day. And I'm going to hit the mark of 100,000 followers in 1 month, which sounded completely impossible. I've never seen anything like that in my life. I never thought like, there was no reason for me to believe it was possible, but I just knew that if that happened for me, that would have been God's confirmation for me. I was like, it has to be something like outlandish, you know, for it to work, for me to really know it was God saying, go this path. So I started making random types of videos. I made a room tour. That was my first ever TikTok, was a room tour.
Is your room amazing?
No.
Oh.
I
was like, what's going on there?
It was a little 10 by 10 room in my parents' basement. But it was, you know, I got my little cute stuff. I got some stuff from the dollar store. I made it look like it was from Amazon, you know. I did the room tour. I did like a few, like, I don't know if you remember TikTok in 2020. It was like a lot of random sounds. And it's kind of the same now, but it's different, you know. So I was just using the sounds. And then one day I decided to make a video with God and an angel. And I was using an audio. And that was the first video that caught. And it was the funnest one to me. It was the one that I enjoyed the most. And I remember when I made it, I'm like, I really hope this works. Because if this works, I could see myself creating this kind of content. But I promised myself I was not doing hair. I said, no matter what happens, I'm not doing hair. I don't care if it blows up. I'm not doing it. So I stayed away from hair. And when I did that video, you know, when you just have that feeling where you're like, yes, this is what I want to do. I felt that feeling, but I had no idea how people were going to respond to it. Because it's Christian content. I'm like, do people really care about that? Especially with, it was all body, yaddy, 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 and all that stuff going on. I was like, I don't think they're going to care about my content like that. But it worked. And it worked. Yeah, that's
and here you are with so many people across the world that just love your content. That's amazing that it was the thing about God that caught fire. In a place and a time where so much content, as you said, wasn't godly. It was all about, you know, women doing other things and going down different directions. So it must have felt really amazing and validating that the one about God must have said, Okay, cool. I'll let you fly now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really that. And I remember even like when I went through that process of like seeking him before it, like I went through like a whole time of just like prayer and fasting, just not for TikTok, but just for my purpose. Like I wanted to know what my purpose in life was. I was so lost. And I said, when I presented the idea of TikTok to him, because my mom always says like, put your plans into the hands of God and he will establish them according to that verse. So I literally like wrote it down on a notebook and I presented it to him. And I was like, if I go this path with TikTok, I don't know what I'm going to create, but all I know is you're going to have to get the glory out of it somehow. But I never thought it would ever be of me creating Christian content. I figured, you know, maybe if I do makeup, I could just somehow give God glory out of it. I don't know. But like, that's kind of what I was thinking. So when I saw it turn around, I was like, you were really listening to me, like to the specific things I was asking you. And you gave me exactly that. So in a way that I could have never imagined. Yeah.
That must make it feel easier to create content for God, because so many people online, it's almost like the edgier it is, the better it will do. Mm-hmm. Or the more risque it is, or the more swearing you put in it, or the more you reveal your body, or whatever it may be. There's so many different things that people do to get attention online, but the fact that you're doing it with God and it's working, that must make it feel good to just create content for him, where it is for his glory, because people are being ministered to through the content.
Yeah, it does. Because I never wanted to do that stuff. Like, I really never wanted to. I'm like, because especially during that time, I saw the content that was popping. And I'm like, you know, technically, you could, if you look at social media long enough, you could figure out how to make it. Like, it's a formula. Anybody could get on social media and make it. People who get on it and are failing, it's not because they're terrible people and they're not meant to. They just don't know the formula. Once you get that formula, it goes. But the formula I was seeing, I was like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, that is so not me. And I feel embarrassed. And anything I put out there, I don't care what it is. Even when people disagree with some things that I do now, I'm like, I'm not changing it because that's who I am in real life. When you meet me here, it's the same person you're going to see online. That's my major thing. So it's very comforting to know that, yeah, this works. I don't have to do the risque stuff.
Yes, you can just talk about God and it works.
Yeah.
Your relationship with God seems really close for you to have to make videos like this. How did you develop that? Because I think often some people, we might just come into the faith and expect us just to have a relationship with God. Mm-hmm. How did you develop yours? What were the steps that you took?
I really feel like it was something that God took me through, and it wasn't something that I mean, it was intentional at some points, but especially because I don't know if you ever heard this thing with like growing up in church. They say church babies tend to have a harder time having a relationship with God than people who now come into the faith. Because as a church baby, which I was literally born and raised in the church. I lived in the church more than I lived in a house. But growing up in it, I didn't necessarily have a relationship with him. I was doing it because mommy and daddy said to do so. So if you want to be a good child, you go to church. You listen to da-da-da-da. And I remember I was 12 years old. And I don't know if y'all, like, if any of y'all who grew up in church and you were always in church, if you remember that one Sunday where you kind of heard the sermon, like for the first time. It's like you always hearing it because you're a kid, but then there's one specific day that you hear what the minister is saying. That's what happened to me at 12. And I was like, and it just clicked me. I'm like, wait, I've been doing this for years and I never really heard, like I heard it, but I didn't hear it. And I sat down listening to my dad preach, and it was a good sermon. I was like, well, I get why they're clapping now. Like, it's like it's starting to click. I'm like, he just said something good. And that's when I remember I said in my spirit, I didn't say it out loud. And I was like, God, are you really real? Like, I'm like, I know you're real because that's what I've heard. But I'm like, I don't know that for myself. Who told me to say that? Like, who told me to say that? Because right after I said that, my life went upside down. Like, flip. Everything went wrong. It felt like everything went wrong. That was a time when we lost our home. We lost any money we had to our name. We ended up literally homeless. Like, we had nothing, like absolutely nothing for years. And I was just like, well, this is interesting. My parents have been serving you all these years. I've been an obedient kid. Why don't I have anything? And I was just so angry. Like, I was so angry with God. I was so upset. And I remember I got to the point at 14, I told him, I was like, forget it. I don't believe in God. I'm done. I'm like, there's no way the God that my parents are talking about will leave us like this. I was like, nah. And I literally said it. I said, I do not believe that there is a God. There is not a God. And it was the weirdest experience. I literally felt like it was like a cold, I don't know how to explain it, but it felt like something cold in my chest my chest just went cold. And it was a weird feeling, but I was so angry. I refused to like think about it. Like, what did you just feel there? But it was just like this really, it felt like an ice cube or something was in my chest, and it wouldn't go away for days. And I was so angry. And then it got to the point where it was overwhelming feeling. I broke down and I said, God, I'm sorry. I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I really didn't mean it. And I just bawled my eyes out. I was 14. I was just crying. And I was like, I just don't understand. And while I was talking to him, I really felt like the warmth just come back into my chest. It was such a surreal experience that I was like, whoa, like he's real. And these are the things that everybody has. Like, you have your own individual experience, and that's where the relationship started. And it was from then I started to trust him. And my parents kept on saying, Ariel, I know it's tough. I know we have nothing right now, but trust God. Trust him. He's going to get us out of this. So I just, through that, from 14 till now, that's how that relationship has been building.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an experience. Because it is, I've done that before, where I've kind of not wanted to believe because I thought it'd be easier in a really weird way. If I didn't believe in God, would this be easier if I am living this or doing, I just convinced myself it would be easier. And it does feel really strange when you kind of say, right, I don't believe anymore. It's just weird. It feels very unnatural. It feels like you're not meant to be not believing. So that experience is something that is so powerful, to be able to have that and take that. And I'm guessing that experience has carried you through all the difficult times that you've had, because you can go back to that and be like, that happened. I know that happened, and I know it's real. So that means God is real, and that means I'm going to be cool.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. I always go back to that moment. That's why I can't forget it. It's very vivid in my memory. And I think he allowed that, because honestly, I have a bad memory sometimes. I be forgetting like really important things, but I really believe God imprinted that into my memory in a way where it's not just like in my mind. Like I can feel it. Like it's almost like muscle memory. I could feel how I felt in that moment. So he's like, you ain't gonna forget that. So anytime I try to, get a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Stubborn. And I'm trying to pretend like I think God doesn't exist. It's like I could feel it in my body. That's not true. I'm here. Exactly.
I was going to ask you to share a testimony that you, it's weird that you even shared that story, because this is literally share a testimony that really let you know that God was real. So that was that. Yeah. It's like God really wanted everyone to know this was that time. So music then, because you do a lot of music as well as your comedy. Talk us through that. When did you start doing music, and what's the end goal with it?
I guess I'll start with the end goal. The end goal is like, I really want to be a touring artist. I love performance. I love to perform. I love to sing. Music is like the first place I ever felt not shy, because I was an extremely shy kid. Like, no one knew what my voice sounded like. I didn't speak, and I'd be scared around people. But when I got introduced to music, and the first time I went on a stage, well, not the first, maybe the second time I went on a stage, I realized, I was like, I'm not shy on the stage. I don't know what it is. So I realized that's where I was meant to be. But because of a lot of fears and insecurities, I never pursued it to the extent that I should have. And maybe even should have is a strong word, because I did go through a lot of development. And I always picture myself, like, I used to watch, this is a Canadian thing, so I don't know. It was called The Next Star. YTV. I don't know if that's a thing. No. Okay. Yeah. It's definitely Canadian.
I looked around, everyone's like,
everyone's like blank. No. But I used to look at that and be like, I want to do that. Or I used to look at the Disney Channel and be like, I kind of just always knew inside. I didn't crave fame, but like I kind of just knew I was meant to be in front of people. But it never made sense to me, because I knew I was extremely shy and scared. But I figured it would be through music. So I would sing in church. Obviously, started doing Sunday school, where you ain't got no choice. You got to sing in the choir. And then eventually it evolved into a passion where I enjoyed doing it. They would give me solos, and then I started singing with my sister as a duet. And we just started being invited to many churches throughout our city, Montreal. So we were called the we are called the Fitz-Patrick sisters, and we would just be singing all over the place. But again, just fear, not releasing anything, being scared that, no, I don't think people are going to like this, or I'm not going to like it. So I just didn't create music. I would write. I have so many songs in my notebook, but I never put it out there. So come 2021, it started like really that, that impressing feeling on your chest where you're like, you need to do this. And it was coming like confirmation from everybody, like random people. I remember one time my mom randomly, she's like, Ariel, it was so random. She's like, you need to start back writing. She's like, you need to create music. And I'm like, and I was just thinking about it like the night before, and it was on my mind. So I was like, okay, I really need to get into this seriously. To say that it's all the fear is gone, and I'm like, yeah, let's do this. There's still some fear there, but I'm overcoming it. I'm working on it. And now I'm really like focused on music. And as soon as I took that seriously and I just presented my song God Love that I did, and I hit it. Like I did it, recorded it, mixed, mastered everything, just left it. And then one day, my now manager, I had met him, and I was about to sign the contract with him as like my manager for influencer stuff. And then something was just like, send the song to him. Like, just let him listen to it. And I sent him God Love. And that's when he was like, this is a really good song. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. He's like, as a matter of fact, he's like, give me a few days. And I was like, okay. And he said he sent it around to a few people because he's actually like well-versed in like, the music business and whatever. And he sent it to a few people, including some at Capitol, where I'm signed to now in Motown Gospel. And all the results were like, the reviews were like, yo, this song needs to be out. Like, who is this? And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So just flowing with that and seeing how that one song that was unreleased got me a signing and all that stuff. I was like, okay, all right, God, I'm in it now. I'm in it. I'm not gonna let fear stop me. Yeah.
And it's such an amazing song as well.
Thank you.
Have we heard God Love? We're gonna play it in a bit when we're all networking. We'll just put it on repeat, just that for like 20 minutes. We'd love that. Where did that song come from? What were you doing when you decided to write that particular song?
It was from a very, very sad, broken place. To be very honest, I was extremely heartbroken around that time. Like that was probably my first like serious heartbreak, and I was just so sad at home, and I was angry, and I was just like frustrated, and I didn't know what to do with my emotions, to be very honest. So I was like, and I was kind of just stuck in the house. I was like, I need to do something. So I just randomly booked a session at the studio, and I was like, I just need to get this out. Whatever this is, I just need to get it out. So I went to the studio. Me and the studio engineer were mad cool. He's like, what are you doing today? I was like, I don't know. He's like, all right, just go in the booth, do whatever. And I found this random beat that I really liked, this music, and I just went in there and I just started singing. And in like less than 2 hours, I wrote the whole song. We finished the song, and that was that. And like I was just like, if you hear the beginning of the song, like you could probably hear how I was feeling in that moment. It was really like, it was a lot of pain, but I think the most beautiful thing about that song is like, as I wrote, I remember walking to that studio thinking it was going to be I was like, this is going to be a very depressed song that no one's ever going to listen to, because I will never put out anything depressed or depressing. But it was crazy how it transitioned. Like the more and more I sang, I just started like thinking about God's love and how he loved me. And I was like, who cares about like people who don't treat me right or who don't love me the way they should or whatever. I was like, at the end of the day, I can't say I don't know what love feels like, because I've experienced God's love, and it just flipped into that without me even trying, and it just became such a positive message at the end, and I felt so good when I left the studio. I felt really, really good. So it's a very special song to me, and I'm glad that some people could definitely connect with it.
It's funny because someone might listen to it and they might be going through heartbreak and really connect with it, but not understand the story behind it.
Right.
So sometimes when these things come from those places, you just don't know who you could be helping with it, I guess, or healing with it, because you sound like you got some healing when you're recording it. If someone's listening to that, they might also have a similar kind of experience. So I like when things come from deep and meaningful places. And heartbreak is one of these things that it just pushes you to a really deep,
it really does,
a really deep place, man. What do you do to get through those times? Because I think I'm going to guess everyone in the room has been heartbroken before. You
So
could be
don't
heartbroken
lie.
right now. You never know. But what do you do to get through? What helps you to push through those times? Because in the moment, it can be all consuming, and you're sitting there and you're like, oh, this is never gonna end. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
never gonna get over this. Oh, this is it. This is me now for life. I have thought that thousands of times.
Yeah.
This is me. This is my personality. The heartbroken girl.
Yeah.
Done. What do you do to get through it?
It was actually pushing myself back into the arms of the people that love me. And it was because sometimes with the heartbreak, I notice it's so deceitful, where it makes you think, say like it's one person, like this one person not loving you, you automatically all of a sudden feel like no, like there's no love around. Like you just lose sight of the love that's around you. And I recognized that, like I was sulking and I was sinking into this, like this, I don't want to say depression, but like this depressed state of just sadness, feeling like I'm not loved. And then it's like God had to remind me. I remember I was kind of sitting there, I was on the floor and I was just like what you said, like this is it, this is me, this is Ariel from now on.
In the dark, in a corner.
Like I'm gonna be emo now, kind of thing. That rock music, I don't know. But what was I even saying? Right, so I was sitting there and it was like God was like, the first thing he told me to do, and I heard it like a voice. He said, feel it. Because I have this thing of, I guess it's a toxic trait, of trying to like block out my feelings. Like I don't want to feel bad. I want to be happy, Ari, all the time. I don't want to be upset. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to feel sad. But the problem with that is you're just suppressing it. So it's going to come out either way. So sometimes when I thought I was doing a good job at hiding it, people are like, are you okay? And I'm like, is it really showing? Like I'm trying to, So I just heard the words, feel it. And I literally like just realized I was clenched. Like physically I was clenched. It was like I was trying to physically stop it from coming up. And I let go. And as I let go, like a rush of emotions came. And I have not cried that hard in like my life. I was crying. I was like, whoa, jeez, this must be therapeutic. Like I cried so hard. But then as I let it out and I was crying, like, there's just thoughts going through your mind. And I just started seeing my mom. I started seeing my dad, my siblings, and I started seeing the people that love me. So I got myself up and I was like, I'm going home. So I got up, I took my bag. I wasn't even dressed properly. I just went straight home to my siblings, and I had such a great conversation. Like they didn't even know what was going on, and I just spoke with them. I hung out with them, and I was just reminded of like, yo, these people love me. What am I doing? Like it's sad that obviously these things happen. That person hurt you and whatever, but then you have to be reminded that. I don't know if do you know that show with Ladybug? It's a cartoon.
What's it called?
Yes, thank you.
What's it called?
Miraculous something in Ladybug and Cat Noir, yeah. Like how like you never watched it?
No.
Do you watch cartoons?
All the time.
Oh, you should watch it. It's a kids show, but it's one of them real good kids shows.
Okay.
But like there's the bad guy, and what he does is I think he's like a perfect representation of what Satan does. He seeks out to see someone who just got hurt in any kind of way. Like if someone just got their feelings hurt, someone just got angry or whatever, and he goes and he targets the person who's in a very deep emotional state. And then he pulls that emotion and he exaggerates it. So it's like you're feeling lonely, and now he's like, oh, then he goes in, he's like, you see, you're alone. You have no one. How dare, and it just keeps playing at it. And it causes you to forget, like, you have so much good going on for you that you just focus on the negative, and that's how he literally, like, possesses them, and then they become, like, this monster. But that's what happens in real life. So I had to realize, like, I cannot let that happen to myself.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Powerful.
thank God for my family. And it doesn't have to be, like, for me, it's my mom, my dad, my siblings. And for others, it could be your cousins. It could be your friends. It could be, not always blood is family. So it could be anyone. But I know there's at least one person in this world that, loves you.
Yeah.
For sure.
Just finding where you're loved and celebrated, and that can really help the part where someone over there may not love you. I love that.
Yeah.
So we have about 2 minutes until the Q&A. We are in a room full of women, apart from this man right here.
Hey.
Apart from the man at the back.
Thank you for representing. Like.
Just like all men everywhere, you are representing. But I want you to, I was going to say speak a word of encouragement for women. I am still going to say that. I'm hoping you will still get encouraged because it was International Women's Day.
Yeah, it was.
Friday just gone. So can you just speak a word of encouragement for the women and this guy here? You know.
I think I'm still growing into my womanhood and I'm still learning, so I'm not like a guru or anything like that. But I think as women, I think it's just so important to remember that we are loved. And I know, like, especially with social media, like, we keep on getting this rushing ahead, like, oh, women, especially black women, like, we're like, and it's maybe true. It's even if it's factual, you know, like, black women are the least loved or the most oppressed. Even if these things are true, it does not define who we are. It doesn't define that, okay, well, because this is a statistic and this is a fact, it doesn't mean that I have to embody that and become the angry black woman or become the angry woman, period. Like, we are loved. We are cared for. There are men out there that do care for us and look out for us. So let's not focus on that negative, because I really feel like, especially in the past few years, I guess social media made that easy. It's like become like the focus of our identity. And then we've become to this point where it's like, well, you know what? I'm just going to take care of myself. I'm an independent woman and I don't need nobody. That's not true. We need each other. We need our community. We are not meant to do this by ourselves. So I really want to encourage women, don't take on the mentality that you have to do it by yourself. You're not meant to do it by yourself. Our shoulders are not meant to carry that weight. And I know a lot of women don't like to hear that these days, because it's like, you touching on, well, no, we don't need nobody. Yes, you do. And it's okay. And I think that's the beauty of it, because we're so nurturing and we're so helpful and we're so necessary that, like, once we understand that we're a part of we're a crucial part of a community, I think, like, we would do such more beautiful things, and it would cause us to work together better, because now we're less focused on just, I need to make sure my life is right and my kid's life is right. It's like, no, like, let's focus on everybody. And in that way, you know, I take care of you, you take care of me, and we don't have to be angry with each other, don't have to be angry at men. That's the one thing I'm like, sometimes I'm like torn with my videos. I'm like, maybe I should stop making these videos, because I don't want people to think that I hate men. Like, I really don't want people to think that. It's just for a joke, but I really do want us to understand the necessity of, you know, understanding that we're important in the whole, like, general scheme of things, and that we're loved. We're cared for. And I don't care what the last person told you. If they told you the opposite, is a lie. You know? And besides all that, even if we didn't have human love, we have God love. So, ooh, that's my song.
I was going to say, that's a nice plug. Thank you so much for that. I'm sure we've all felt really encouraged by that. One more thing that I would love for you to do is pray for us.
Cool. Yes. Father in heaven, I thank you so much for today. I thank you for every individual that is represented here today, God. They didn't have to be here, but Lord, they took the time out of their busy schedules to be here. And I'm just so thankful and grateful for them. And I pray that you will bless them for it. I pray that their travels here will not be in vain, but that whatever you have in store for them in this moment and in this place, that they will receive it. And I ask, oh God, for anyone who may be struggling in any area of their life, anyone who may be hurting, anyone who may be just facing financial difficulty, emotional difficulty, any kind of complexity in life, God, I pray that your Holy Spirit will come right now into their spirit and soothe their fears, oh God, soothe their minds and cause peace to just overcome them, oh God. Let there be no turmoil in their life. Let whatever plan of the enemy that he has for their lives be destroyed right now, oh God. I pray that you will cause them to overcome whatever mountain he has put in their way. Remind them that they have the power to speak to that mountain, and that they are not the ones that are subject to the circumstances around them. But Lord, remind us and give us the strength and the courage and the knowledge of overcoming all of these by the power of our tongue, oh God. So I pray that even now, as we continue into the next segment of this meetup, oh God, I pray that your holy and sweet spirit will just be here, oh God, that your sweet spirit of love will just bind us together, and that every single person who came in here, that we will not leave the same, that we will leave uplifted, we will leave with joy and any kind of inspiration or any kind of idea that you have placed in anyone anyone's heart in this room that they're scared to start, oh God, I pray that you will give them the boost they need to begin whatever project, whatever music, whatever it is, if it's a business, whatever it is, oh God, I pray that you'll give them the courage to do it and the confidence, and I pray that you will bless them and that everyone here will be successful spiritually, financially, mentally, and socially. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you so much. Oh, I felt that.
This is Premier Gospel.
Premier Gospel. The voice of UK Gospel.